This is the second day, and an eager air of expectancy as the Emu Bay Company prepares to roll from the sheds its showpiece. The buffers link up, but what sort of engine is this? Yes, it's one of the few surviving relics of the wartime rail system, a monster Garratt locomotive. As Garratt number 16 rolled into the station, the Victorians greeted it with amazed looks and excited conversation. This was a highlight of the 3 days, something which the Victorians had never remotely expected, one of the few remaining Garratt engines in the world. As the railway buffs would tell you, the Garratt is really 2 engines in one, and technical types classify them as 482, 284. The 4 denotes the front bogies, the 8 the drivers, and the 2 the rear bogies. But as the Garratt is a double-ended engine, it can become quite confusing. This is an Australian standard Garratt built around 1944 in South Australia as an emergency wartime design. Garratts are ideally suited to narrow-gauge tracks in mountainous country. They are still used in South Africa and India, and this design has been copied throughout the world. And this is the last of 2 working models in Tasmania. If you were the maiden tied to the railway track in a melodrama, this would be your view of the Garratt. And a wallaby gets this view of the engine. The Garratts were not popular locomotives with train crews. The driving cabin was uncomfortable. They were great jolting beasts and ate up fuel and water with all the enthusiasm of a monstrous steel glutton. Where train crews cursed the name Garratt, today's enthusiasts faithfully recorded the engine on movie film and tape recording. You can still see some signs of the Garratts in Tasmania. When they were finally scrapped, an economy-minded railway department used the big water tanks as separate units to supply water to railway camps. Rosebery, normally the end of the line for the Emu Bay Company, but this is something of a special occasion. A diesel throbs quietly at the side of the line as the Garratt pulls into the mining town station. This was the first return journey for over a year for this big steam engine. The private railway company still sends goods to Rosebery, and many cars are still taken by train to this point rather than face the trip over the new Murchison Highway. Here is another highlight of the 3-day excursion, a chance for the photographers to get an exciting view of the Garratt crossing a high-level bridge over a deep river gorge. It's possible no other steam locomotive was such a celebrity. Railway is a tribute to courage and perseverance. One of the most amazing railway engineering feats ever attempted. The line runs through swamp, over deep chasms, through bush, and sweeps across matted button grass plains. Zeehan is the last stop, the finale for the West Coast Railway. Today the rails rust in the rain and sun, and the once bustling goods yard lies almost empty of engines and rolling stock. Zeehan Station is a dreary expanse of ramshackle buildings with once smart paintwork peeling as the bleak westerly winds find each nook and cranny in the loose boards. The end of the line for G16, just as it was the end of the line many years ago for Zeehan, a prosperous, thriving mining town. The Garratt seems to suddenly feel its rudely interrupted retirement. It stands quietly leaking steam and droplets of water from many valves and pipes. Zeehan, the end of the line for many when the mines closed down. Early this century, Zeehan boasted a population of 10,000 people. Trams carrying wood for the mine scurried down its wide main street. Land sold at record price of £150 a foot. And at schools, business houses and social life thrived. Today the town's wide main street stands empty, and the few people who still remember look back on an age of silver. There's a loneliness about Zeehan, a feeling of waste and desolation, a town populated by ghosts of a bygone, virile age. Zion, and the end of the line. Perhaps a fitting epitaph for G16, the end of the line for the last train.